in language, because healing often happens when we say things in language. So I think it is really incredibly important that, as I said before, and I hear our panelists saying, that I am because we are. I need you to survive as much as you need me to survive. Yeah. We need each other. And it is why I look around this room, I look the panelists and many of you in the room that I recognize, because I have done since over 20 years. I build a community so that I can be scaffolded when I need, so I can focus on the things that I have been wanting to focus on, which is my career. I came at 19 to do psychology. Mental health has always been my vision. And I did psychology, and after all the things were tough, I said, I'm going home. I packed my bags. So don't be afraid to pack your bags and go home if you need to. I packed my bags and I went home for 12 months because I needed some healing. I needed some anchoring. And then once I found myself again, I got back on the plane and came back here. And then there was nobody stopping me. Let me tell you that. There was nobody stopping me. My first job when I finished my master's at Bond University wasn't through SICK. I knew I've already done something special. I had done something, or I could offer something special to any organization. So what did I do after my graduation? I looked through the internet to try to find where can I apply. And I made a phone call. And I followed it up with an email. And I got an interview. Wow. That is how I got into the system.
Wonderful. The importance of knowing yourself, knowing your worth, networking, keeping your connections close to you. Thank you so much for that. And she has mentioned something about comparison, which I'd like Desire to talk about. Sometimes you feel like you're falling behind. What would you tell that person that is constantly feeling that they're falling behind?
Well, that's an incredible question. But I it's a hard one. I always say you feel like you're falling behind. I feel like that question happens when you compare yourself. I always see myself, and I'll use my own example as well. Everyone here on earth is running their own race. I think it's really important to know that we are all running our own race. And you're not falling behind. You just have a different timeline. I think it's important to note that we all have a different timeline. And I generally, personally, have been a slow boarder. Like I've just, I went to uni 5 years, and I'll tell you what, I even taught in Nigeria. I'm talking about Nigeria, I'll talk about Australia. I even taught tutorials. I was like, man, DYDS, doing all of this. And I'll tell you what, when I finished that, I could not get a job. The guys I was like, man, be serious with your academics. I was so humbled to see all of them. They were like, they got good jobs, and I was humbled. And I was in, I'll tell you what, I actually got a marketing job to market to the guys I used to teach. And they're like, Desire, what are you doing in this uniform? What's going on? I thought you should be this, that. And I tell you what, that was very depressing, but I learned something from that. And I used to just tell myself, I don't know what's going on with me, but I think I'm on a different timeline. But when my time comes, man, I'll tell you what, I'm going to shine. And I'll tell you, what I learned from all those seasons has actually shaped me to be able to connect to someone who's up and someone who's down. And I think I want to tell people to treasure your moment, even treasure the moment, and ask yourself, what is my season teaching me? What is my season teaching me? I came here as well. I did whatever, studied and did a master's in IT. Don't ask me how I went from chemical engineering to IT. Story for another day. But even when I finished that, I couldn't get a job as well. And just to buttress some of the points, I'm a person of energy. Now, I pumped out like 750, what's it called? Resumes, and I'm like, man, let's get it. I'm ticking, man. 1, 2, 3, boom. 1, 2, 3, boom. Every day I had a target. In fact, one of the guys called me, and he humbled me. And the only call I got, the guy called me, and he asked me a question. I don't know about you guys. If you ever studied IT, the moment you go into uni, you come out, everything you studied is obsolete, you know? And the guy really humbled me, and he asked me, hey, Mike, look, I've seen your resume, but let me just be quick with you. If I give you this problem to solve now in Google Go and all of that, meanwhile, I learned JavaScript, I learned C++, and I was like, what is Google Go? In my head, I was like, is this guy speaking another language? And I just was like, man, you might as well just take your job. Like, leave me with my dignity, And how did I even get to this story? I just told myself this is not happening. But the way I got my first job was I told myself I'm going to do something different. I applied for a job. I was annoyed with myself that no one was calling me. I entered the car. I said, today you must see my face. I'm telling you, I'm like, I don't care. I was like, who's the IT manager? I went to school. It was shout out to the school anyway. I was going to call name drop, but I went to the school and they said I couldn't see the IT manager. I said, you know what? Here's my resume. I'm waiting for the IT manager. They say he's doing some upgrade. I said, I'm going to see this guy. I have a lot of time. And I've just come from my factory job, by the way. I didn't sleep all night. I went there and I waited. The guy was like, who is this guy that is so stubborn? You know what? He saw me. He's like, oh, I saw this resume before. I thought you were older than I see. And he's like, okay, come for an interview. And sometimes the power of presence, the power of persistence, and the power of just not giving up. I don't know. You just have to believe in yourself. And the question again? Sorry, that's my answer. Just thank you. You are not falling behind. You have a different timeline. Your race is different. I've done a whole lot of things in my life, and just stay adaptable, stay employable. Actually look at this place right now. I remember doing some things to just keep afloat. I've done everything just to adapt. When I was a student, I did a big show where I thought it was going to be big. I got the last money I had. I got Bovi. I don't know if anyone was here. I brought Bovi. Bovi is a comedian. I brought him into this place, and I tell you what, it was cricket. I spent a lot of money. It was 20 people here, and Bovi himself said, dude, don't do this to me again. I'm a big star. But why did I share that story? Is that you need to be adaptable. You need to throw in everything, and everything will lead to something else. Today, I MC different occasions. I do one of the, if you're in NDIS, you probably know we at Anchored Care do one of the biggest networking events. We have 250 people in one room that is not an expo. I learned all of that from failures. I learned all of that from the seasons where I thought I was a failure. So I don't know what you're thinking that you're failing at right now. It's preparing you for your day of destiny. So just embrace it. It might be slow. You might be on a different timeline. Forget about what you see on social media. I'm not going to put the days I'm depressed on social media. I'll put the days I'm wearing this sort of fancy clothes on social media. Some days are not the greatest days. So you're not on a different timeline. You're not falling behind. You're on a different timeline. And your timeline, God's time is the best, and your day is coming. Thank you.
Wow. That was really wonderful. Yeah. Thank you for reminding us that. And I know that sometimes things don't go according to plan, but Mercy, how do students move from surviving the system to influencing it? And also, if you can tell us how you navigate things when they don't go according to plan.
Well, those are some hard questions. I'll try to answer as briefly as I can. And if you've heard me speak about my story or my journey before, I think I always talk about myself or yourselves being a project. I think that's the one thing that my mom taught me from a very early age. She was an audit and she was very, very tight with money and just project management, risk management. I was like, I don't want to be an accountant like you. That's a story for another day. But I think one of the things that I learned from my mom, and she was here last year for the last student summit, so I'm feeling quite lonely today missing her. But I think taking yourself as a project is very important. I think, the phases of a project, planning and implementing and monitoring and evaluating. I think as you navigate the system from being a new migrant coming in as a student and working in the workforce, one of the things I've come to learn is you have to have the clarity of purpose, and I think you've talked about that a lot. But one of the things that I've been hearing a lot in recent discussions, and I want to also hear the thoughts of the fellow panelists as well, is when do you think it's time to say, I've done enough, I've stretched myself, I want to go home, but not as a failure, but someone who's actually learned? Because I've been hearing a lot of recent discussions, and I think it's something that I'll want to hear even from the floor and from the panelists, is people think that when they wrap the bags and go back home, it's a sign of failure. I don't think so. Because I do have a couple of friends who came in together with me. They were students, and I think they finished their 2 years masters, and they had even their 485. That's the postgrad visa. But they said, you know what? I think the environment was amazing. I've learned what I've learned, but I think it's time for me to go back home, and probably that environment is better, because I do think different people derive their well-being from different things. It could be family, it could be money, what's driving your purpose, what's driving your day-to-day activities. So for this particular friend who confided in me, she said, I'm lucky that I've come here, I've finished my master's, but I feel like this environment, being away from home, is taking so much from my cup. I think I'm going to pack my bags and go back home, and I do feel like a failure. But I thought, no, you don't feel like a failure, because I think you've studied, you've gotten the skills that you've acquired, and you can go back home. And she's actually doing quite good. So I think, when do you realize that you've done all that you can? And if I can just share back to, talked about interpersonal conflict, because that's a decision that's not very easy to make, and I think we've talked about all the things like, send your CV, volunteer, but let's talk about the hard conversations. You come here with a big goal, you want to stay here, you want to, get a job and make a better future for your family. And this is not a call for me to say give up and go back home because I'm here. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. But I think it's what I'm saying. A lot of people have been coming to me saying, I think I've tried all that I can. And I think the environment is probably either not suited to me, I've re-strategized. So what I usually tell them is, I've tried different strategies. Can you try this? Can you try that? And some people, it does affect their mental health and well-being. So at what point do you come out of it and say, hey, I'm going to put my head up high, I'm going to go back home, and I'm going to use the skills and the networks that I've built here to make my communities back home a better place? So I want to hear from you about that question, actually.
Can I'll try and keep. I think it's different for everyone. What is home for you? This is the first thing. What does home represent for you? And where is home? For me, I felt like, and I'll be very honest as a person, I felt like leaving Nigeria. When I left, I burned the bridge. I was like, man, I'm burning this into ash. Like, this is it. I'm on a one-way journey. And so I think I had to close that place in my mind, because personally, look, I've got a lot of people, and this is my personal story. I have a lot of people that have great success in Nigeria and all of that. So for me, I was on a one-way ticket to succeeding. It's a must. I didn't have any other option. This was option A, option B, option Z. Okay? So I had to. And sometimes I get locked in my mind to say, I must make it. Like, I think that's a very deep place. I was a very dangerous place. I tell people, like, I'm in a room and I know that this is the only option. When you know that this is the only option that you have, I think that it's a call to a deeper place, and that place might be home for you as well. I have friends that have gone home, and if you feel like there are things, there are people, you're better off. Honestly, you have to ask yourself, is this coming to Australia, is it a transient thing? Or could this be your anchoring place? I had to make that decision when I was coming out. This is my anchoring place. So you know what? If it's my anchoring place, then I must strive. So I had the resilience, and I was locked in. And I said to myself, I have to be adaptable. And I've changed so many things. I came here, I studied IT. Now I employ people. I look after people living with disability. So it wasn't what I started. I didn't make it as an IT person, and IT is an incredible career. But today I work in healthcare, employing people. So if you're locked in your mindsets, right, and this is my story, please, there are different journeys, right? If you're locked in your mindset that this is our only place, if you have that mindset, I'm telling you, you must survive. It's like this is my ecosystem. I must thrive. And that's how I got here. So I didn't have a backup plan, but some people have backup plan. And yeah, that's the question you ask. What if you have a backup plan, then and if your backup plan, if you've done all yourself, all you think you've done, and you're losing yourself, your identity. Remember, I started this conversation by do not lose your identity no matter what you do. And sometimes, even though here is home, I still remind myself that I'm from Nigeria, and that's why I dress like this. But this is my home as well. So that's it for me.
I think
Thank you very
really
much.
Good points. Sorry,
Yes.
just to add on that, I think every day we make decisions, and every decision we make, it carries a risk. Every single day we make many decisions in a day, and every decision has a risk. And I think what I'm taking from you, what my understanding is, everyone's journey is different. And I think being adaptable is a super important thing that I've learned here, because back home I was definitely not a flexible or adaptable person. But I think being adaptable and flexible is a really, really big strength that we as Africans and as Black people, we carry as well. And I think it is something that if you feel like you've done all that you could, and I think talking to people is very important, because I'm getting a lot of perspectives from you. I think it's very important to seek advice. I think we've talked about seek for help. If you feel like you're having a lot of interpersonal conflicts in terms of, do you want to go back home, or do you want to change a career, or do you want to start a like, there's a lot of decisions we make. I think seek help, seek different perspectives, make an informed decision. Don't just rush because you've seen someone on social media, they're living a really good life, and be kind to yourself and patient. I think that's the one thing I've learned throughout my journey here is be kind to yourself. There are days where you're going to feel low. It is okay to feel low. It is okay to cry. Is it okay to take a leave for one day and take care of yourself? And I think have people around you, and I think we've talked about networking quite a lot, but building relationships is very important, because I can come here and network and I won't see probably some in many days, but I think build valuable relationships is very important. Be strategic, and I think I've talked about this quite a lot, because let's say, for example, you want to, I'll share probably based on my story, because I wanted to really work in refugee health, because that's what I worked back home. So what I did is, like Ian, I think, mentioned before, is I went online and searched for smaller organizations, because big organizations are a bit hard to get in. So I searched for small organizations and actually had a big spreadsheet. And looking for a job is a job in itself. You know, you have to really invest a lot of time, invest a lot of money sometimes. So I went to conferences, I went to forums, I had to pay for conferences because I really wanted to meet people in the sector, understand the system. So you have to invest a little bit of time, a little bit of money, and make good, valuable relationships, not just a tick box exercise, but actually make valuable relationships. And I think that one other thing I'll mention is being proactive. We cannot say that more than enough, because I remember as a student, I did do my placement in Metro South, which is part of Queensland Health. And I remember before I went there, I called a lot of people, and I think I was being quite stubborn. And I think stubborn is the wrong word to use, but I think it's being very proactive. You have to do follow-ups. You have to really be intentional with what you want to do. So have a plan and pull through it. And if you feel like you want to try different things, talk to people who've walked through that journey before. If you want to go back home, look for someone who's gone back home and hear different perspectives. I think sometimes it's good to hear different perspectives and make an informed decisions after that.
Wonderful. A round of applause for our panelists today. I think Dr. Mercy has really summed it all for us. If there's something for sure about resilience that we need to learn, is that it's not about moving alone, but moving together, right? And so I'd really like to thank our panelists for honoring this invitation, for sharing your experiences so openly and honestly. And I am sure that we have taken home something tonight, right? Yes. So thank you so much, Dr. Mora, Dr. Hongo, Sharon, and Desire. Thank you very much. And DJ, if you can just give us a number and they can dance as we go to sit down. A round of applause for them as they go to sit down, please. Thank Thank you very much, everyone. Just clap for them until they get to the dance.
Joromi, I want you to love me. Joromi, baby. Joromi, Joro. Kilo de. Why you know they call me Kilo de, baby. Kilo de, Joro.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's all in the interest of time. I wish we had more time, honestly. But we have more speakers coming up on stage today, and we'd like to hear from all of them because you've come to listen to all of them, right? And so I'd like to invite Tony to continue with the program. Makofi ya Tony, jamani.
Wow. Did Pieter do an amazing work? Let's appreciate her. I always tell her, I see a media presenter in her doing those amazing and powerful podcasts that will bless the world. Let's give her another hand of applause. And look out at our YouTube channel. We're going to be creating some content. I know very soon she'll be somewhere in Sharon's office doing some interviews. She'll be interviewing Desire, the fireman. She'll be interviewing Dr. Mora. Let's give her a hand of applause for that. Did our panel do an amazing work? Let's give them another hand of applause. Oh, my goodness. These guys were breathing fire. Can you say fire? Say fire. Wow. So without further ado, I know you have been sitting for some time. Can you just stand up and stretch a little bit? Just stand up and stretch and just reach out to your neighbor on the right hand and on the left and ask them, what did you learn? What did you learn? Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. And this is what I want you to do. Guys, this is what I want you to do. Take out your phones. Take out your phones. This is the only time I will allow you to use your phones. Take your phone and just take a selfie with your friend. Take a selfie with your friend. Yes, just take a selfie. I know you have an amazing photographer. Eric, oh my God, you have got some nice company there. Amazing. Give us some music. Take a selfie. Take a selfie. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, yes! Amazing! So this is what we're gonna do. Oh yes, thank you, Nuruddin. We are right here, Kiq Life Summit. Amazing. So this is what I want you to do. Go to your social media. Go to our Kiq WhatsApp group. Go to our Kiq WhatsApp group and say hi.